Let us begin with a simple question. If all of us are Buddhas, then why do greed, anger, sin, and suffering still exist? If everyone is already a Buddha, why are there thieves, killers, betrayers, and deceivers? Does the sutra verse "all beings are Buddhas" merely serve as a comforting metaphor, or does it conceal a profound truth that we have yet to fully understand? From the very first time one hears it, this saying plants a paradox in the seeker's mind. It feels both magnificent and unbelievable. Magnificent because it affirms the ultimate worth of every human being, that anyone can reach enlightenment. Unbelievable because when we look out at a world filled with war, injustice, and violence, it is hard to accept that such people are somehow already Buddhas. So what is its true meaning? Is it simply a skillful expression that Buddhas and masters use to encourage us? Or is it a truth that has been misunderstood? A teaching grasped by words but lost in spirit? Consider a mango seed. Within that tiny seed lies the potential of a flourishing mango tree with lush branches and sweet fruit. But if you hold the seed in your hand and declare, "This is a mango tree," clearly you are speaking metaphorically. In reality, it is only potential, not yet actual. For the seed to become a tree, it needs soil, water, sunlight, time, and care. Without these, it remains a withered seed, never to grow. The phrase "all beings are Buddhas" works in the same way. It does not mean that everyone is presently a fully enlightened Buddha. Rather, it is a reminder that all beings possess Buddha nature. The capacity for awakening, the potential for Buddhahood, but this potential must be nurtured through practice, discipline, and cultivation before it can become reality. Placed in the context of society, this teaching is profoundly humanistic. Instead of dividing people into high and low, noble and base, it affirms, no one is inherently inferior. No one is condemned to permanent darkness. Everyone carries the same seed, the seed of awakening, the capacity to break free from ignorance. Yet this truth, if misunderstood, can easily lead to complacency. Some may say, if I am already a Buddha, then why practice at all? And that is perhaps the most dangerous delusion. It is like a newborn child claiming to be a sage, just because someone once told him one day you will grow into an adult. The Buddha never taught that we have already attained Buddhahood in this very moment. Rather, he emphasized that the path to Buddhahood is always open and excludes no one. To make this clearer, let us turn to a simple story. Long ago, a farmer found an eagle's egg that had fallen in the forest. He placed it in a hen's nest. When the egg hatched, the young eagle grew up among the chickens, imitating their clucks, their struts, and their pecking. For years, it never realized what it truly was. It believed its life was limited to scratching the dirt for worms. One day, an old eagle flew overhead. Looking down, it noticed this strange chicken with long wings and a sharp beak. It called out, "You are an eagle. Come, soar the skies with me." But the young eagle shook its head. "No, I am just a chicken. I cannot fly high." The elder eagle did not give up. Patiently, it encouraged and guided the youngster until, at last, the young eagle dared to spread its wings, lift off the ground, and soar into the boundless sky. This story vividly illustrates the meaning of all beings are Buddhas. Each of us has the wings of an eagle, our Buddha nature, but most live like chickens, confined within habit, ignorance, and limitation. The teaching is not an illusion. It is an awakening call to realize our hidden potential. And here we begin to see that this saying carries both hope and challenge. Hope, because no one is left outside the path of awakening. Challenge, because without effort, without practice, the seed of Buddha nature within us will remain only a seed, never to grow into the tree of enlightenment. But is merely saying all beings are Buddhas enough to change the way we live? Clearly not, if heard only superficially. This phrase easily turns into a kind of religious slogan, pleasant to the ear but without real impact on daily life. It is like holding a rare seed in your hand without ever planting it. Despite its infinite potential, it will never grow into a tree. The key here is critical reflection. A true student of the Dharma does not stop at simply accepting a teaching, but must ask, what is its real meaning? How can it be applied in daily life? And if it is not practiced, what will be the consequences? Take a very ordinary example. Imagine you are gifted a first-class plane ticket to a beautiful destination. Yet if that ticket stays locked in a drawer and you never board the plane, does it make any difference? Our Buddha nature works the same way. It is the ticket, but we must actually walk the path, begin the journey, in order to arrive at the destination. The saying, all beings are Buddhas, exists to awaken the faith that everyone holds such a ticket. But at the same time, it is also a warning. If unused, if uncultivated, that ticket becomes meaningless. In today's society, many people fall into two extremes when they hear this teaching. On one side are the skeptics, who dismiss it as vague promises, a kind of religious opium. On the other side are the overly optimistic, who think that since they are already Buddhas, there is no need for practice. Both extremes are misunderstandings. The first case, people shut the door, refusing to believe in their inner potential, thereby limiting their own lives. In the second, people grow complacent and careless, and thus never progress. The phrase, all beings are Buddhas, only reveals its true power when rightly understood. That we both carry the seed of Buddha nature and must act to help that seed sprout. There is an old Indian tale about a beggar. He lived his entire life in a tattered hut, surviving on scraps of food. One day, when people demolished the hut, they discovered a vast treasure buried beneath the floor, a fortune left by his ancestors. The beggar had spent his whole life in poverty, all the while sitting above gold and jewels without ever knowing it. We are the same. We chase wealth, fame, endless desires, and suffer continually. Meanwhile, within our very minds lies a treasure, Buddha nature. If we learn to uncover it, our lives will change. But due to ignorance, we go on living like beggars atop hidden treasure. When the Buddha declared all beings are Buddhas, did not mean to create an illusion, but to remind us, do not search for the Buddha outside. Look within yourself. The treasure lies in you. Yet he also warned, without practice, without cultivation, that treasure will remain buried, never seeing the light. Look around today's world. Some people are born in poverty, even without proper education. Yet through perseverance they rise, becoming great individuals who uplift their communities. Is that not evidence of their Buddha nature being awakened? Conversely, others are born into wealth and privilege, yet consumed by greed and selfishness, they lose their humanity. This shows that Buddha nature is potential, not a guarantee. One of the most dangerous misunderstandings is to treat all beings are Buddhas as if it meant absolute equality in our present state. In truth, the teaching only affirms equality and potential. Just as every mango seed can become a mango tree, not all will be planted. A seed discarded on the road, trampled, will rot. A seed placed in fertile soil, nurtured, will thrive. From this we can draw a vital conclusion. This teaching does not deny the differences between people in their current lives, but it also forbids fixed judgments. A wicked person today can become virtuous tomorrow if they turn back. A foolish person today can become wise tomorrow if they learn. Quality lies in the possibility of transformation, not in present conditions. A criminal too has Buddha nature, but that does not erase his crimes. He must still face consequences, still bear karma. The equality does not lie in all have already become Buddhas alike, but in all have the same opportunity to become Buddhas. Understood this way, all beings are Buddhas is no longer a vague slogan, but a profound call to responsibility. It is like a teacher telling her students, each of you can become the top scholar. That does not mean they all already are, but that each has the chance if they strive. And here we arrive at a crucial bridge to the next part. If we truly possess Buddha nature, why do so many people fail to recognize it, or even resist and deny it? Where does the problem lie? Within each individual, or in the way Buddhism has been taught and understood? If we already have Buddha nature, why do most of us fail to recognize it? This question is like someone standing in front of a mirror, but not realizing the mirror can reflect them only because the mirror is covered with dust. Buddha nature is originally pure, but it is obscured by ignorance, greed, hatred, and delusioned, just like the bright moon hidden behind dark clouds. One reason people find it so difficult to recognize their Buddha nature lies in deep-rooted conditioning. From childhood, we are taught to compare and divide. The capable versus the incapable. The rich versus the poor. The successful versus the failed. Over time, this conditioning builds a wall that makes us see ourselves as limited beings, bound by fate, unable to glimpse our vast true nature. Take the case of a drug addict. Most of us, when looking at them, only see ruin, hopelessness, and loss of humanity. Yet there are cases where, given the right support, addicts manage to quit, rebuild their lives, even inspire others. What has been awakened in them? It is none other than the seed of Buddha nature, the potential for transformation, already present but previously obscured. A true story illustrates this. In the US, a man once lived as a criminal, addicted to drugs, repeatedly in and out of prison. One day, during a meditation retreat inside the prison, he experienced a profound peace he had never known. From then on, he dedicated himself to practice, overcame his addiction, and after release, became a meditation teacher guiding thousands of inmates. What changed? It wasn't that Buddha nature suddenly appeared, but rather that he gradually cleared away the clouds of ignorance, allowing the light to shine forth. This shows us that the statement, "all beings are Buddhas," is not blind optimism. It asserts that even at the lowest depths of suffering, humans retain the ability to return to their luminous nature. The question is whether we are willing to recognize and awaken it. On the other hand, why do some people, despite being intelligent, wealthy, and powerful, lose their humanity the more they live? The answer is equally clear. Buddha nature is not an automatic shield of protection. It must be nurtured with mindfulness and compassion. When it is smothered by ambition and ego, talent can easily turn into a weapon that harms others. Consider a successful entrepreneur who may possess business acumen, organizational skills, and vision. But if his sole motive is profit, disregarding ethics, he might become wealthy at the cost of others' suffering, producing substandard goods, destroying the environment, exploiting workers. In such a case, Buddha nature is still there, but covered in layers of greed and anger, preventing its light from shining outward. Thus, to say that all beings have Buddha nature does not mean that every action humans take is the action of a Buddha. It is simply a reminder that everyone has an inner light switch, but that switch may be hidden, locked, or never turned on. Another image may help. Imagine that within each of us there is an oil lamp. The lamp itself is Buddha nature. Oil is the merit we accumulate through morality, meditation, and wisdom. The wick is our mind, which must be properly adjusted. Without oil, or without lighting the flame, the lamp remains dark. If we pour in garbage instead of oil, the flame will die. And if we let dust cover the lamp, its light cannot shine. This is why the statement, "all beings are Buddhas," carries both hope and responsibility. It is not a free ticket to enlightenment, but a reminder. The light within you already exists, but you must be the one to ignite it. On a societal level, this meaning becomes even more crucial. Instead of hastily condemning someone as irredeemably evil, we can view them with compassion. They, too, possess Buddha nature, though it is hidden. This does not mean excusing wrongdoing. Criminals must still face both karmic consequences and legal justice. But it gives us the faith that transformation is always possible. Recall the famous story of Angulimala, the notorious bandit in the Buddha's time. He killed nearly 1,000 people wearing their fingers as a necklace. When he encountered the Buddha, he intended to murder him, but was ultimately disarmed by the Buddha's compassion and wisdom. Angulimala dropped his weapon, sought refuge, and later became an enlightened arahant. If the Buddha had not trusted in his Buddha nature, would he have dared to extend his hand to save him? This story shows that even the gravest sinners are not excluded from the potential of awakening. The difference lies in timing, conditions, and effort. When properly understood, "all beings are Buddhas" is not a naive statement. It is both a declaration of spiritual equality and a practical educational strategy to awaken self-confidence while also reminding us of the responsibility to practice. And this leads us to the next question. If Buddha nature is the seed, then what are its soil, water, sunlight, and fertilizer? How do we cultivate it so that all beings are Buddhas is not merely a theory, but a lived experience? If Buddha nature is a seed, then the soil, water, sunlight, fertilizer are none other than precepts quola, concentration samdi, and wisdom prajna, the daily practice of discipline and cultivation. The statement, "all beings are Buddhas," only becomes reality when we nurture and protect that seed. It is not the result of a single effort, but a long process, like a farmer patiently tending to a crop. First, precepts are the soil. The seed of Buddha nature needs a healthy environment to sprout. If the soil is poisoned, the seed can hardly grow. Precepts are the fundamental ethical principles that prevent us from harming ourselves and others. Dan, in today's society, keeping precepts may simply begin with not lying, not hurting others for personal gain, not becoming a slave to alcohol, drugs, or gambling. Just by holding two basic precepts, we protect the soil of our mind, so the seed of Buddha nature has the chance to grow. Next, concentration is the water. Even with good soil, a seed will wither without water. Concentration means the stability of mind, the ability to stop, to dwell in stillness. In the digital age, we are constantly pulled into screens, news, work, social media. With scattered, restless minds, it is difficult to perceive the light of Buddha nature. Practicing concentration can begin very simply. A few mindful breaths each day, spending quiet moments, sitting meditation, mindful walking, or even something as small as turning off the phone during meals. These little actions are like streams of water nourishing the seed. Finally, wisdom is the sunlight. A seed cannot grow without light. Wisdom is right understanding, liberating insight. This wisdom does not only come from books, but from direct practice observing oneself and the world with awakened eyes. When we see that all things are impermanent, we cling less. When we see cause and effect clearly, we refrain from sowing harm. When we understand that everyone suffers in their own way, compassion arises. This is the light that makes Buddha nature shine forth. You may ask, but how can such small things help me become a Buddha? Think about physical exercise. It's an overweight, weak person who persistently trains every day, even just 15 to 20 minutes, will transform their body after months. The change doesn't come overnight, but it certainly comes with perseverance. Spiritual practice is the same. A modern example. In many large corporations in the US and Europe, mindfulness meditation has been integrated into corporate culture. Thousands of employees used to high-stress lifestyles have discovered peace in just a few minutes of silence. Scientific studies show that meditation reduces stress, increases focus, and improves relationships. This demonstrates that Buddha nature is not a distant idea, but a living energy that can be applied in daily life. A father who is often angry and scolds his children, when he practices mindful breathing and learns to pause before reacting, gradually becomes a gentler parent. This change not only brings happiness to his family, but is also the expression of Buddha nature being nurtured within him. A teacher who listens to her students with compassion, instead of just transmitting knowledge, is letting her Buddha nature shine in the classroom. A doctor who treats patients with medical ethics as well as skill is planting the seeds of Buddha in the hospital. All these examples show that Buddha nature doesn't need a mountain retreat to manifest. It is present in every choice, every action of daily life. But there is one important point. The seed of Buddha nature is never lost, but it can be forgotten. Like a computer with advanced software, if viruses take over and the user doesn't know how to operate it, the machine becomes useless. Practicing precepts, concentration, and wisdom is like cleaning out the viruses, rebooting the system, so the original software Buddha nature runs smoothly again. Thus, the statement "all beings are Buddhas" is not merely a declaration, but an invitation to consciously plant, water, and tend to the seed within us. And when each person lights up their own lamp, that light not only illuminates themselves, but also radiates into the community, making society more peaceful. This leads us to a larger question. If all beings have Buddha nature, how much could society transform if more people nurtured that seed? Could a peaceful world with less suffering be an unattainable utopia? Or is it entirely possible if humanity returns to its innate luminous nature? If every individual possesses Buddha nature, what will happen when many people together nurture and awaken it? This question takes us to a broader vision, on the scale of society and humanity. Today's world is facing countless crises: wars, conflicts, environmental disasters, social injustice, famine, pandemics. Most of these problems arise from greed, anger, and ignorance, the very clouds that obscure human Buddha nature. A leader who places personal gain above the well-being of the community can easily start wars. Business that seeks profit at all costs will devastate the environment. An individual who lives selfishly, chasing after endless desires, contributes to the moral decline of society. Conversely, when Buddha nature is awakened within people, behavior changes. A leader with compassion will seek peaceful solutions instead of war. An entrepreneur with enlightened wisdom will pursue sustainable development, balancing profit with social responsibility. An individual with mindfulness will live simply, with care for others, instead of chasing excessive indulgence. Just imagine, in a tense international summit, if instead of debating only to win, the leaders began with a few minutes of mindful listening and silence, how different might the atmosphere be? This may sound idealistic, but it is not unrealistic. In some places, politicians, police officers, and even soldiers have begun practicing meditation, and the results show they have become calmer and less violent. This is a sign of Buddha nature awakening at a collective level. Another example lies in the environmental crisis. Climate change, deforestation, plastic waste, all stem from lack of awareness, from bottomless greed. When people realize that they and nature are not separate, that destroying the environment is destroying themselves, then real, lasting change can take root. This too is an expression of Buddha nature's wisdom, seeing dependent origination, seeing that all things are interconnected. It is important to recognize that Buddha nature is not just a religious concept, but a universal ethical foundation. It can connect people across religions, cultures, and nations. For when we say all beings are Buddhas, we are essentially affirming every human being has infinite value, has the capacity for goodness, and is worthy of respect and love. This is also the essence of human rights, of social justice, of world peace. There is a memorable story. A group of Buddhist volunteers once went to support inmates in a prison. At first, they were met with suspicion and contempt, but gradually, through sharing, listening, and guiding meditation, many prisoners changed. They realized they could still become good people, despite their past mistakes. One inmate said, "I never thought I had any worth, but now I understand I can still be a decent human being." That statement is living proof that all beings are Buddhas is not only a philosophy, but a transformative reality. If each of us plants the seed of Buddha within, then gradually society will become like a flourishing forest. One tree cannot bring spring, but when many trees bloom together, the sky itself is transformed. An individual living with compassion and wisdom is precious, but when millions live that way, the world will surely change. Yet it is crucial to avoid misunderstanding. All beings are Buddhas does not mean social problems will vanish merely through belief. Rather, it reminds us that the solution lies within each human being. If we wait for a savior from outside, we will remain disappointed. But if we awaken Buddha nature within ourselves and collectively nurture it, true transformation will take place. From this perspective, the statement is no longer vague, it becomes a strategy for social change. No policy, no law can eradicate greed, hatred, and ignorance. Only inner awakening can. And all beings are Buddhas is the reminder that the key is already in our hands. So the final question that remains is, how can each of us not only hear or understand this truth, but actually experience it in our daily lives? After all the analysis, the saying all beings are Buddhas is no longer an abstract statement, but a mirror reflecting back to ourselves. The real question is not, are beings Buddhas or not? But rather, am I living like a Buddha or still circling around like a chicken in a coop? Each of us carries that seed within, but a seed cannot sprout on its own. It waits for our own hands to plant it in the soil of mindfulness, to water it with compassion, to warm it with wisdom. If we neglect it, the seed will wither. If we nurture it, it will grow strong and one day bloom and bear fruit. Think about the moments in your life. A time when you forgave instead of holding a grudge. A time when you shared instead of keeping everything to yourself. A time when you quietly listened instead of rushing to judge. In those moments, your Buddha nature shone through. The only question is, do we dare to let that light become a lasting flame? Don't wait for a special day or a special place. Buddha nature does not reside in lofty temples or distant scriptures. It is present in every moment of daily life. When you drink a glass of water with awareness, when you speak a word with sincerity, when you walk without harming even the grass beneath your feet, that is Buddha manifesting in you. And remember, the path to Buddhahood is not about becoming a superhuman detached from the world, but about becoming fully human, living with wisdom and compassion. The Buddha is not somewhere far away. The Buddha is your own capacity to love and awaken, quietly sleeping within you. So today, what do you choose? To keep living like the eagle that believes itself a chicken, or to bravely spread your wings and soar into the open sky? No one can answer that for you. Buddha only points to the moon. The act of looking up and truly seeing its light is yours alone. To begin with the small things. A mindful breath, a kind word, a helping hand. Every such step is a step on the path back to your Buddha nature. And when many people walk this path together, it will become a great avenue leading society closer to peace and harmony. When rightly understood, all beings are Buddhas is no longer an obscure phrase, but a promise and an invitation. A promise that no one is left behind in darkness. An invitation for each of us to light our own lamp, so that together our lights may illuminate the whole world. Are you ready not just to hear, not just to believe, but to truly live as a Buddha in your daily life?